on a beautiful sunny day here in Germany. It's March 23rd and it's been way too long since I recorded my very first episode. I think I recorded that back in June. It took me forever to edit. I uploaded it sometime in August, I believe. So yeah, it's been a very, very slow start to this whole podcasting thing, but nonetheless, I still want to do it. And I'm actually heading for a monthly kind of thing. And I don't know. No promises, really. But I had so much fun recording this one episode that I did. And I really have been thinking about doing this so many times before. So I grabbed the opportunity right now. My daughter is asleep. She'll probably come up during the process of this because I don't know how long she'll sleep. She's actually fairly early for today, but whatever. You didn't come here to hear me rambling about my sleep schedule of my child. So yeah, let's maybe just jump straight in. As I mentioned in my first podcast, I don't call this a knitting and spinning podcast or a yarn podcast, wool podcast, because I do quite a lot of other crafts and hobbies, and I do want to share those things, but for now it is wool and knitting. So today it's definitely a knitting podcast. So if you enjoy that kind of content, just stick around. And yeah, needless to say, since June I did get some stuff done. So we have quite a few finished objects. I'm not going to show you every single one. But yeah, definitely the main ones and the ones I talked about last episode. And yeah, I obviously am knitting on something right now too. So yeah, let's start with the first object I finished, I guess. And that is my Zweig sweater. It came out super beautiful. I'm absolutely in love with it. I'm trying to show you so the camera is not blowing out, but you can still see something. Oh yeah, no, it's blowing out anyways, but whatever. You can see the beautiful texture the body has with those little stars that are on there. And you can also see the changing colors of the semi-solid yarn. Oh, yes, back to normal. Okay, so I knit this out of Wollmeise yarn. In the main color is Mausalt, so it's a very dark gray, and the yoke I knit in Birkenrinde, which is this white and black changing. Birkenrinde is birch bark, so totally makes sense. It's a beautiful lace pattern. I really like it, and it was a lot of fun to knit it. And it was, I don't know, I don't remember, but I don't think I memorized it, but it wasn't very hard to follow the chart. I don't think I had to rip back at all, so it wasn't very confusing. And then there's a bit of color work. You have this bit of color work, which doesn't come across as well with this yarn. I mean, this is supposed to be little triangles, which I guess are a little hard to see because obviously with the black and the dark gray, it doesn't set off so awesome, but I don't know. I think the stripes came out really nicely below. So yeah, I'm very happy with this. It took me way longer than necessary. I flew through the body. Like I cast this on in June, and I think I was done with the body in, yeah, like by the end of June, beginning of July. And I'm usually not someone to get stuck on the sleeve island, as they call this, but I did. I tried this 2 at a time magic loop for the first time. Like, I did the magic loop before, but the 2 at a time was definitely the first time for me with the sleeves. And I think with the 2 balls kicking around, because they were always like crisscrossing, and I don't know, it was just too much with the whole yarn management. In the end, I had it actually on this desk, which is my work desk. I have my computer here, and sometimes if I have to wait for something to happen there, I just pulled out the drawer where I had this sweater and then 1 yarn ball on the left and 1 on the right, and then that way it was contained, you know, and I could just pick it up and knit a few rows on the sleeves and then put it back down whenever my computer was done doing what it was supposed to do. But yeah, needless to say, this took quite some time, but that was somehow the only way I was going to finish those. And I did. Eventually I did. And yeah, I've worn it quite a bit since then, but I didn't realize that immediately. I think it took me probably like 2-3 months to realize this, but I did make a mistake in the neckband, because you do short row shaping to achieve, because this is actually how it's supposed to be. So to achieve like a higher neck in the back, there's short row shaping. And the short row shaping and everything is okay. This is all fine. The problem is where the sleeves start. See, it's I don't know. I messed up where I had my beginning of round marker or something. So I separated for the sleeves in the wrong spot. So now it's all shifted. I think you can kind of see, right? And you knit this top down, and yeah, I only noticed after I already worn it for like 3 months, so it's obviously not super noticeable, but now that I noticed, it kind of bugs me, so I do want to go back and just rip back the short row shaping here and then just knit it back up, and I hope it'll work with the short row shaping the other way around. I might have to look up a different method or something that I don't create holes, because right now it looks really nice, but whatever. Not right now. I have so many other exciting things on the needles. But yeah, that's definitely something I want to do. But it's done. I love it. It's a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, Zweig, and highly recommend. The other project I talked about in my last podcast was the Birds of a Feather shawl. And I'm happy to report I'm also done with this one. So this is a triangular shawl, which is huge. I think Kristen from the Woolen Line podcast likes to call this a schlanket, which I think is a great name for something like this. It could be a blanket, but it is a shawl, so it is a schlanket. I like that. So yeah, it's a triangular shawl, which you start in one point, and then it just grows and grows and grows along a center spine, and at some point it grows asymmetrically. So yeah, I've knit this with, again, Wollmeise yarn. Oh, I didn't say it's the pure base, and so this is the same base but in the barista colorway, which is like a nice brown, turquoise, blue, green kind of multicolored yarn. And the other stripes are made with mohair yarn, and there I used drops kit silk in the Meeresgrün, which is ocean green colorway. I mean, it's definitely more turquoise. I wouldn't call this a green, but who cares? And so it's not really, it's more like a stripy kind of effect you get with a mohair. But I do like this. I think the colors work really nicely together. And yeah, let me put this on. I'm not gonna lie, I think this one turned out just a little bit too big for me. Like, I like how big it is, just like, you know, in the center where you kind of have the, like, this is a good amount, but I don't know, then those ends just go forever and ever, and you can, I mean, it's super nice because you can wrap it around your neck like a million times. And for like really cold, windy days, and I'm not the biggest hat person, so I don't really like wearing hat that much. You'll see I don't look particularly well with hats. And yeah, you can really make this nice nest, and it rises up above your ears. So that is nice. If it's like really cold days, and if you're like me, not super keen on hats, this is perfect. But we don't really have that many days that are that cold here, or at least for me, where I feel like I need a hat. So then it just gets a little much, you know. It's quite the hassle then to find the ends and then take it off again. And but yeah, it's a fun pattern to knit. It just, I mean, it's all garter stitch more or less. It has these lace sections in here, which are quite simple if you look at them, and I mean, it's just like it's kind of a combination of yarn overs and knit togethers that are stacked on top of each other, but I had quite a bit of issues like the first lace section. Like I think I had to rip back like 1 or 2 times until I finally got it, and I still didn't really get it because my stitch count never really worked. And I guess if it doesn't work, then you need to know where the yarn, or like you need to understand the lace to just kind of see where you need to do the next thing. But obviously with the first time around I didn't, and yeah, I don't know, my stitch count never really worked. But I don't know, I don't really care with things that are that huge if I have like 5 stitches more or less on the needles, but obviously with the lace it kind of matters. But yeah, eventually I understood how the lace just worked, and then I could then I just whatever followed the first line in the pattern, and then I just stacked on top what I needed, because then I couldn't follow the rest because the numbers wouldn't add up anymore. But yeah, it creates this nice wavy thing happening, which then equals out with a mohair again, and the next stripes are straight. So yeah, it is nice. It's a super nice TV knitting thing for the most part. I mean, the lace, I think, well, at least for me, I need to pay some attention there. And oh yeah, the end. I've heard this a number of times that people kind of ran into issues with not having enough yarn. And I definitely had enough of the mohair because that's yarn I salvaged. I still have plenty, but I only had 1 skein of the fingering weight here. And I did run out. I could see, I think, because I heard other people talking about this, I was aware of this. So once I got to this section, sorry, this is my baby phone. There. So I kind of weighed how much yarn I needed to do 1 row, and then I calculated how many more rows I could knit with the yarn I had left, and I didn't have enough for what was needed. So I just kind of did more mohair in the striping. So there's some striping happening, but I just changed it to still have the same number of rows to finish the shawl, because you need to finish the the center spine, because otherwise if you just stop short of it, then you have this weird triangle that's missing, if you don't knit all the way up. So yeah, but I just substituted with a mohair, and now I can't even tell, and it looks nice, and I'm fine. I don't know, I don't think even in the project pictures you necessarily see how the stripes are actually supposed to be. So this is all fine, but something to be aware of if you're planning on knitting this and you also only have 1 skein. Just, yeah, towards the end you'll see you'll run low, and then maybe just do a weighing thing and see if you can manage. The next finished object is the Arnica cardigan. What did I say? Birds of a Feather is by Andrea Mowry, the pattern. Yeah, but this is the Arnica sweater, and it is by, Orlaine Suche. Yes, Orlaine Suche, or Suche. I don't know how you pronounce this. I think Suche. My French isn't the best, as you noticed last episode. Yeah, and I gotta say, hang on, let me show this. I have my very haggard looking pattern printout here. This is the picture. Wait, what? Whatever. You can see. This is the pattern picture. I would have never knit this just off this picture. I don't know. I don't think it looks very nice. I think I'm just not a very yellow person. I mean, I have a project coming up where I'm using yellow, but definitely, I don't know, full on yellow, it's just not my thing. And but I did see, I'm sorry, I don't know her name, but she does a podcast, The Woolen Nest, and she actually got a skein of handspun from a viewer, and she found this pattern and used that handspun as the accent color, and then just a white, so pretty much exactly like this is the main color. And I love that so much that I wanted to do exactly the same. So I started spinning, and this is what I was aiming for. I was learning to spin, and the first thing I wanted to properly spin was kind of a pastel, colorful yarn that I could use as the accent color for this. And the white is actually, some people are gonna be cringing right now. Let me find the ball band. It's 100% acrylic. But it's so soft. It is Rico Baby Dream Decay Uni. This weird blowing out. I don't understand this. No, it doesn't work. Okay, whatever. You just have to trust me. It's called Rico Baby Dream Decay Uni, a luxury touch. And they're not lying when they're talking about the luxury touch. But it's 50% polyacryl and 50% polyamide, which is both plastic. So doesn't feel like plastic though, but it's for a baby knit, and I feel like it's white, so I probably need to wash it. It might actually not be that bad that I can just throw this in the washing machine knowing nothing bad will happen to it, even though my accent color is 100% merino. This is actually from a roving that I got from Cat and Sparrow, hand-dyed fiber. Nope, this is the wrong one. Oh, was I talking about merino? It's not. It's 70% superfine alpaca and 30% Polworth. And the colorway is called Map of Love. And I found this particular colorway actually by watching the podcast of Mina, who is a knitting expat. And yeah, she spun up exactly this colorway from Cat and Sparrow, and I was on the lookout for something to spin up for this cardigan, and that was just perfect. So I ordered that and used it. I'm super happy with it. I'm super happy with the spun yarn, by the way, but more to that in the spinning section. And yeah, so it's obviously it's a cardigan, and yeah, you have this fun. It's like it's like a knit pearl texture, but there are also some slipped stitches that create this funny textured blobs in there, and it's really nice, and it highlights the yarn super nicely, and it kind of worked out that each row, like the top row is kind of a blue red one, and then the yarn changed color for those two rows, which are then more a yellow green color, and then it changed again. It just kind of worked out that the color didn't change mid-row. It kind of just changed right when I was going to the next row, so that's nice. It obviously changed color within like the button band and stuff. Speaking of the button band, smart me forgot to put buttonholes. So obviously this placket would need buttonholes, but I knit it all and I finished it all, and then I realized I forgot the buttonholes. And I didn't want to rip it back. So yeah, I used these closure things. But I don't know, I might come to regret this decision, because you can't just pull on the cardigan itself to pry them apart, because they go super hard. So you kind of have to put your nails in between to get them apart. They just open super hard, and just pulling on the fabric, I'm scared it'll just eventually work through. I mean, you can do it, but yeah, I think if you do this a lot, then you'll eventually rip the fabric, which I don't want to do, or just stretch it way too much that it looks lumpy. But I don't know. I mean, I'll see how much we wear this. Maybe it's just a kind of more special occasion kind of jacket. We'll see. I'm hoping it'll wear in a little bit too. I knit this in the 2 to 3 year size, because my mom actually knit a little sweater for her that she can wear right now, so I didn't really need to, and yeah, that's why I knit the size up. And I'm super happy with this. The next project, I was actually on the hunt for forever. I always knew I wanted because I have this coat. I have this winter coat my mom gave me while I was pregnant because I was huge and my own coat wouldn't fit. And she had this one that she wasn't really wearing, but it was a super nice coat. Obviously kind of an oversized one, and it's a dark navy blue. And yeah, and I love this coat. I still own it. I still wear it even though I'm not pregnant anymore. I mean, now it's starting to get spring, so I'm not wearing it. But I was wearing it all winter, and I really wanted a blue, gray, yellow shawl for this, or a scarf. I didn't really matter, but I wanted something that had those three colors, and yeah, obviously was kind of fun to knit and would show off all the colors. And eventually I went shopping with my aunt in Berlin in a shop called Wollen Berlin, and found 3 skeins of Matt Tosh hand-dyed yarns, and this is I'll show you in a second, it's the Merino Singles fingering weight yarn, and I bought it in the 3 colors I just mentioned, blue, gray, and yellow. And this is what I made with it. It is the Shake It Up Shawl by Anna Johanna. And I love this. I'm so in love with this. I'm in love with the yarn. I'm in love with the finished project. I was loving the whole process because, as the name suggests, I think this was actually created as a mystery cal. So you have multiple sections. I think it's like 16 sections all together, which are obviously released one after the other, and it's all different things you're doing. So it's very it's shake it up, right? You're always doing something else. You never really get bored with a project. And yeah, if you're in for that kind of stuff, let me walk you through what you're doing. So it starts off with simple garter stitch. It's also it's a very similar construction to the Birds of a Feather. So it starts growing from a point, then eventually you get to a point where it then starts growing asymmetrically, so you end up with a triangular shawl. It's a bit of a different way it does, but yeah, like the construction is the same. But yeah, you start with your first color in one point in a garter stitch, then you continue garter stitch but with a second color doing some stripes. And then you have a very, very beautiful lace, which again, I had similar issues with the Birds of, maybe it's just me, I don't know. I was off with a stitch count, and with the first one, you don't understand the lace pattern yet, so I had to rip back. But it worked. I eventually understood it, and then it was easy to memorize, and this same lace pattern comes again, and then it was easy breezy. And I was glad I was doing my learning curve in the shorter section, because ripping back all this would have been way more sad. Anyways, so there's some lace, then there's more stripes, and then there is brioche, which was the very first time for me that I knit brioche. And I loved it. It's so much fun. It's so addicting. I thought I would hate it, honestly. I mean, I always wanted to do it because, I never done it, and I think it's a super nice method of knitting for like warm winter clothes, because it's kind of it doubles up, right? You use 2 yarns or 2 strands of yarns and be them the same color or 2 different colors, and it just creates a very warm, thick fabric. But I loved it. I didn't hate it. I mean, you have to knit every row twice, and but that didn't really matter for me. I guess because it was 2 colors. I don't know how I will like this when I eventually do. I do have a project on the very far horizon though, that will require just 1 color, but brioche. But we'll see. I love this. This was really fun. And you do some more stripes and some more lace, some more stripes, garter, another brioche, and then at the very, very end, she throws in pearls. So this whole thing is knit. I mean, you have a few pearls in the lace section, but it's all mainly garter, kind of. Or, I mean, this, but that's knit and pearl anyways. But yeah, here, this is a 1 row, this color, other row, other color. So it it changes one by one. So to achieve the garter texture that's through the whole shawl, you knit whatever the blue, and then you purl, because it goes in the same direction, the yellow, and then you have to purl the blue back, and then you can knit the yellow back. And I don't know, it just threw me off guard, you know, like once you get, this is the last section of where it grows kind of along this spine, and you're like, yeah, you're nearly done. This was actually like around New Year's when I was in this section, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to get it done for the new year. And then there's like a whole lot of purling. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but I just wasn't expecting it, I guess. So I was just like, oh, really? And yeah, I mean, little did I know there was still quite a bit of work left for me, because then you already have the whole stitches on the needle, but then you pick up all the way around to make this last section go. It doesn't go all the way around, it just goes to two sides of the short sides, I guess. And yeah, I screwed up. Oops, it's the wrong side. I screwed up a little bit with the picking up. As you can see, it creates this weird, like I picked up too many stitches on this end, and then not enough. I guess it's not enough on this. This is kind of pulling together. So this is obviously supposed to be triangular, and it's more like a wave thing. But who cares? I don't care. Like I don't know. I'm perfectionistic in a lot of ways, but for some reason, knitting this kind of stuff doesn't really bother me. Or maybe I was just really anxious to get this done, even though I had lots of fun doing this, but I don't really enjoy picking up stitches, I have to say. And yeah, and then at the very end you do a I-cord bind off, which also was the first time I did this. I mean, I did I-cord before, but not the bind off, which is not that much of a difference, but still. And but yeah, it was really cool because the yarn amounts I had were like perfect. I do have a little bit of the yellow left, but I have nothing of the other two colors left. So I just started the I-cord bind off with the color I ended with. And so I just used it all up till I had nothing. And it sort of lines up with this. If I hold it like this, it lines up with the spine. The end of where I just started with the blue, but you know, once you wrap it around your neck, nobody will notice this. And then I just finished it off. I think I have a teeny weeny bit of the blue left, because then I just decided to actually stop at the corner. I think I would have gotten me to like there virtually. I really didn't have much left. And then I started with the yellow and bound off the rest. But the yellow, there's just still a little bit left because you don't use as much in the shawl itself. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Pattern by Anna Johanna. I actually found this pattern by, yeah, I watched no, I didn't watch the podcast. No, right. I was just like kind of scrolling through my YouTube suggestions, and I saw a picture of this shawl in different colors. And it was a podcast by, I think she's also called Kirsten, but the Quick Strick podcast, which is a German podcast, and she lives in Switzerland. And yeah, but she had her podcast episode had this shawl as a picture, and it really caught my attention because I was looking for something 3 colors. And it looked really nice. So I didn't even watch the episode. I just scrolled to where she was talking about the shawl, grabbed off the pattern name, and started knitting this because I loved it. And then once I actually purchased the pattern and started knitting the shawl, then I kind of took my time to watch her podcast, and she's super nice. Now I'm subscribed to her and I watch her podcast regularly. So if you're German, highly recommend. Yeah, and then I realized they did a knit along and even had a discount on the pattern, while like I could have made use of that, but who cares? I'm super happy, no regrets. I was just super happy that I found this pattern. But yeah, now I had a blue, yellow, gray shawl for my winter coat, and I did say I'm not much of a hat person, but I'm a knitter and I don't have a knitted hat, so I really wanted to knit a hat. And I was also on this whole brioche. I was kind of loving it, so I wanted to do another project. And I knit another Andrea Mowry pattern. This is the vintage prim hat, and it is a actually not mainly, but obviously the main focus is this beautiful, beautiful brioche pattern. I love this. This is so nice. This is actually the same kind of texture as the one row, kind of, it's a garter achieved look, but you do it with knitting and purling because you're switching color. But here I saw it right away and I was expecting it, so it didn't catch me quite off guard as it did in the It Up Shawl. Yeah, I really love it. It looks super nice, but unfortunately it turned out a bit too loose. And yeah, I warned you, I'm not a hat person. I don't know. Some people look good with hats. I don't really. Guess it's because I really don't like wearing my hair down. And I think hats just look better on when you have hair down, when there's something coming out. But I don't know, I just never do that, so it always looks a little bit weird. But whatever. I mean, I can wear it. And actually now with my bun back there, maybe I need to wear it with my bun back there, because then there's a little bit more pull. But usually, or often, I wear my bun higher, and then it's just kind of in this slouchy part, and then it doesn't give, I don't know, actually, I don't know, I thought it was way looser. Actually fits quite well. But I did buy some elastic thread, which I want to put in the ribbing part, and then maybe there's a little bit more tension. So this is something I might do to make this fit better for the really cold days. But now spring's finally here. I don't think I'll get much wear right now, but next winter for sure. And I'm sure I'm gonna get it done with putting in the elastic thread. Until then, the yarn I used for this is actually a very very valuable hat. I got a like, my husband's family is in Canada, he's Canadian, and we visited them over Christmas, and from his sister I got a voucher for a yarn store. And so I treated myself with one skein of lichen and lace, and dyed in Sequel NB, Nebraska, I guess. And yeah, I tried deciphering this colorway name. Oh no, why are you blowing out so much? Don't blow out. I just cannot. Oot or something. Dude. I don't know what this first letter is. This is, I think, O-O-T. But I don't know. Somebody tell me what the colorway is. But yeah, it's a superwash merino fingering. It's a 1-ply, so that is the, sorry, hang on. Yeah, that's the blue. So the lichen and lace is the blue. And it's super soft, super nice. I mean, merino, right? There's nothing much to say. And it's 100 grams, 400 yards. Kind of weight. And the other one is the yellow-gray color, which is the autumn colorway from Nice and Knit Fingering. And never knit with either of those yarns before, because I think they're both American brands, and obviously here in Germany the access to those is only there if you're willing to pay a lot of shipping, which I'm usually not. And yeah, both superwash merino. Yeah, but I mean, I have still quite a bit of both of these left. I mean, I only knit a hat with it, and I already have a plan for the yellow colorway, because that's a 2-ply or 3-ply. I think it's it's a 3-ply. So I want to knit some fingerless gloves with that yarn, but I don't think the single ply will be very good for a glove, because it's not very hard wearing. So I'll think of something else for the leftover with the blue. But yeah, that's what I have planned for the leftover with yellow. But that's not cast on yet, so we'll talk about that once we talk about it. Yeah, and that was all my finished objects, so at least the ones I wanted to show here. So let's move into what's on my needles. And let me think what? Yeah, let's talk about this one first. So I cast on a project that I've been looking at forever, by the way. It's my nice raised back. I really love this. Unfortunately, my weird closure really didn't work. It kind of just vanished in the back, but it doesn't really matter. Kind of leave it open all the time anyways. I think I tried to close it like 1 or 2 times and then it broke and... yeah, but I cast on the Boxy by Locatelli. And I'm actually quite far. Let me untangle this for you guys. There. I mean, it's on fairly tight circular needles, but this is how far I am. There. Just don't hold it too high. So this is much closer representation of the color. Yeah, so this is again Wollmeise yarn, but it is on a different base. It's the same weight as the pure base, but this is a different blend. So this one has cashmere in it and also some poly, I believe. It's more like a sock yarn, but it's so soft. With the cashmere, I don't know. I think it would be a waste on the socks, really. Yeah, and it's in the Lennox colorway. Nearly through with the first ball here, the bigger one. And actually, when I received this, I was a little bit like, okay, is this the right one? Because online, the Lennox colorway looked way more, or like higher in contrast. Like the light gray that I have here right now looked like nearly white, and then the darker, which now is like it's like a mauve, really. It's not quite an aubergine yet. It's too light for that, but yeah, that actually looked like an aubergine. Like it looked way darker, so it was way higher contrast. So I was initially a little bit like, okay, it's not quite what I envisioned, but knitting it, I'm loving it. It's so nice. I think with a higher contrast, it would just look more like the Birkenrinde, really, which is just very busy, I guess. And I think having a whole sweater and a boxy is a lot of fabric, right? That would be just a bit too much for the eye. So I'm very, very happy, actually, that it did not turn out as I expected it. And yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, so while I'm knitting on it, right, it's lying on whatever, my pants, on some t-shirts and stuff, and this color is just like a chameleon. It just blends nicely with everything I'm wearing. So it's this awesome color that just fits to everything that I own. I mean, obviously some other people have different color palettes, but for my color palette that I have in my wardrobe, it's super nice. It's yeah, and I'm following the pattern. Am I following the pattern? Yeah, of course I'm following the pattern. I mean, it's knit in the round. I did do a few more ribbing rounds, and I did actually the tubular cast off, which I had to do twice because of course I twisted it. It's so hard, especially with so many stitches, to not twist the cast on. And I mean, I was so happy. I think I had to, like, until it was like around here, I checked so many times if I didn't twist it by accident still, because it's still like it's scrunched up on the needle, so it's so hard to see, but no, it was okay. I still checked it like at least 10 times, 15 times, who knows. Yeah, so but I did do a little bit more of the ribbing, but as you can see, it's still flipping up. I really hope I can block this out. I don't know, I heard this is a problem. Anybody has some suggestions on how to keep this thing from flipping up? I don't know. Otherwise, maybe I either I just completely take out the ribbing. Oh, but then I have to do the Kitchener bind off to get the tubular again. Oh, that would be sad. That would be really sad. But yeah, to just get a rolled hem, then it's like intentional. But whatever, I'll see how it looks after blocking. And yeah, the other thing I'm changing is that I am putting in a faux seam. So right now it's just one stitch purl in the whole knit. And I'm planning at the end to actually sew it, to actually make it a seam. Because I've read it gives the garment more structure. I don't know if that's true for a boxy kind of cut, but I'll give it a go. I heard it, and it's not a lot of work, and I don't mind seaming at all either. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as making this one flat and having to purl all this. I'm definitely one of those knitters who's not the biggest fan of purling. But yeah, I want to give it a go. Let's see what it does. But yeah, I guess other than that, there's not much to say about this. I'm actually thinking about steeking the sleeves because yeah, you have to eventually separate for the sleeves, and then there's a whole lot of purling, and I'm knitting this with fixed needles. I'm knitting this on the Gu 2.5 millimeter. No, hang on, it's 3 millimeter, and I guess it's 2.5 the US size. I'm confused now. But yeah, it says 3 millimeter. So it's the 3 millimeter needles. And yeah, the problem I have, I'll talk about that in a second with my next project, is when my gauge is different knitting in the round and knitting flat. And it's very visible. I had that problem in the Miel cardigan I showed my first episode. And there's nothing I can do about this with the fixed needles. But yeah, loving this project, but it is currently a little bit on hibernation mode. I'm still quite the monogamous knitter, so I knit on this until something happened, and I cast on something else, and now this is on hibernation, and I'm knitting on the other thing. So let's move on to the other thing. Oh yeah, but one last thing, I'm knitting with 2 balls, and here it doesn't really matter. It doesn't bother me as much as in the spike sweater when I did 2 at a time, because I'm doing helical knitting, and there's not so much a question of flipping those yarns around because it doesn't really matter. Yeah, but that's that. Let me put that back in the rice bag. There. So, since I already hinted on this, right, let me just take this out here. As you guys know, I'm sure you're all aware, the world is in a bit of a dire situation right now, and lots of us are at home. I'm at home anyways. Honestly, for me and my family, nothing really changed because my husband still goes to work, and I'm at home with my baby. And as many of you knitters, I'm sure understand, where lots of us are introverts and don't really go out that much anyways. And in Germany there is now a fairly strict curfew. I mean, you're still allowed to leave the house, but only like up to 2 people if you're not from the same household. And but yeah, all I really did was go for walks with my daughter, which I can still do. And yeah, now we can't meet with our baby friends. But which is sad, because actually this week there's 2 birthdays coming up, 2 first birthdays, which we will love to attend, but there's other priorities now. But anyways, due to this situation and many people being at home and needing some kind of entertainment, Andrea Mowry actually decided to start a sweater call, the DRK sweater call. Where you can take part and knit any of her sweater patterns, which was perfect because I was eyeing up the weekender for forever, because I had this yarn kicking around my apartment, which is Holstgarn, which is a Danish yarn, and it's the super soft. And I'm actually holding it 2 strands together, and it's the Oxford color, which is the darker of the two grays. And hang on, let me quickly look up. The second color is the flannel gray, which is the lighter of the two. And yeah, I cast it on. She said whips are welcome, and but yeah, I already had the pattern purchased, and this stuff caked up for it, and I think I did I already had it cast on. I had like the first few rows on the needles, but never really knit on it. But then she called for her sweater cowl, and I was like, yes, I want to take part. I really wanted to take part in this cowl, and this thing just is flying off the needles. So hang on, let me actually flip this inside out, then you can see the nice front detail. Oh. I'm doing so well. So you have in the center front and in the center back this really nice faux seam that she creates. And yeah, you knit it inside out, so you have the pearl texture on the visible side, and there is a 1x1 rib. Again, I did the tubular cast on, which this pattern also calls for. It's a split hem. And yeah, I separated for the sleeves. So currently I'm working my way up. I don't even know if it's front or the back. Doesn't really matter. I think they are the same. And yeah, I think I cast this on, so today is March 23rd. I'm not sure when she started the sweater call. I mean, I cast it on longer ago, but I didn't really knit on it. And yeah, but since the release of this sweater call, I did all this. It feels like I did this in a week or something, maybe in a week and a half. And I think I'm definitely going to finish this within the time span. So it's March, April, May, I believe, is the cowl. So I'm already nearly done with the body. Like, I think it goes up to 12 centimeters before there happens something, because there you have this rib texture on the shoulders that's happening. But yeah, it's a worsted weight. So the whole garn is actually, I think it's a very late fingering or even lace weight. When you hold it just one strand by two strands together, because of the hazy kind of texture, it creates this worsted weight. And I actually got the idea to knit this weekender with that yarn held together from Amy Florence. Oh man, names. Amy Florence from the Stranded podcast. And she did that, and I really like that. She did that forever ago, but yeah, since then the idea never really left my head, because I had this yarn. I actually got this for the hunter vest for my husband. That was the first yarn I got for that, but because it's so hazy and the texture just wouldn't really show up, and this whole vest was texture, so I kind of wanted it to be seen. Yeah, loving this. It's very itchy. If it stays like this, I'm not gonna wear this. Not gonna lie. But apparently it really softens up once you block it. I did block my swatches that I did back then for the hunter vest, which still are quite scratchy. But I think I'm giving this like 3, 4, 5 washes or something, and really hope it'll soften up. Otherwise, I'll have to give it away. I don't know. I'm very sensitive when it comes to itchy wool, I'm realizing. Unfortunately, because yeah, I told you about my conundrum last time already. I just love the look of rustic yarns. I just really cannot have it, and I wish I could. It's just, yeah, it just is itchy on my skin. What can I say? Anyways, it's fun and knitting. Oh yeah, but hang on, what I wanted to say. So you knit this thing in the round, right? And then you separate for the sleeves. And I really didn't want to steek on this one because it goes so fast, and then I kind of wanted to not spend time on figuring out the whole steeking thing, because I never did that before either. So I just decided not to steek this. But yeah, then you knit the front and back panels flat. But here I'm knitting with interchangeable needles, and I actually did one row without doing anything about I'm knitting this, by the way, on 4.5 millimeter needles, the whole body. I think the ribbing I did with 3.75, and then I went to 4.5. So yeah, I did one row purl with a 4.5, and I could already see that the gauge was looser. My purl gauge is way looser than my knit gauge. And yeah, and then the cool thing, when you have interchangeable needles, you can put 2 different needle sizes on. So now my purl needle is a 4mm one, and the knit needle is just a 4.5, as I did the whole pattern. And this, I can't see it. I can absolutely not tell. Well, you won't be able to tell anyways. You can actually, I think you can actually still see the one row. It's just a tiny bit looser. But yeah, I don't know. The gauge is perfect. I think the gauge is perfect. I'm very happy. This is the first time I did this. Such a simple idea, but it works. It works for me, and I'm very glad I'm doing it. So yeah, having lots of fun with this. I'm happy using up this yarn because I have a whole lot of this. I mean, I bought a sweaters quantity for a man-size sweater, and I wasn't even regarding the fact that this is super light. And I think I just bought the weight of yarn they were asking for in the pattern. So I have a lot of this. I think even when I'm done with this one, I'll be still able to, maybe not a whole other sweater, but a good size project anyways. But yeah, let's just hope that this yarn is not going to be too scratchy for me, because otherwise I'll have a hard time finding something else knitting with this. But I'm taking part in that sweater knit along. I'm realizing I should probably do a post of my progress so far, because the last picture, or the first picture I posted, was just like of the ribbing. So yeah, what else is on my needles? I do have another sock on my needles. The sock I showed you last time is still where it was last time. I think I'm actually going to frog it to knit it again, but more on that when I actually do that. But I did cast on another pair of socks, which were originally intended for myself. And as many of you know, or probably know, Lane released a nice book called 25 weeks, 52 weeks of socks. Unfortunately, I was too late to the party. I realized that book went out when it actually went out, and when it was sold out everywhere. And yeah, so unfortunately I do not have access to the patterns, but I can obviously stalk them on Ravelry and see pictures of them. And so I still want to give credit, obviously, to the designer, because I did not come up with this design. Okay, I had to find it there on Ravelry. So I really, really love the Dear Björn socks from Natalia Sinelchikova. Sounds Russian. And nope, wait. Yeah. It's probably not very sharp, but maybe you get the idea. Okay, maybe I'll just put a picture on screen. But I really, really love those socks, and I couldn't wait. I mean, I'm really hoping that they release those patterns in time to purchase as well. Or maybe they do a reprint of the book. But I don't know. I mean, so far I'm not the greatest sock knitter. I still don't think I am, even though I kind of increased the number of socks I'm knitting. I kind of have always one pair on the needles these days. But whatever. I would have bought this pattern if it was available, but it wasn't, so I'm just going off the picture. I'm actually using the vanilla sock recipe from Nora of the Cat and Weight podcast, which basically I'm just using the how many cast on stitches for the ribbing, and yeah, I already have one finished sock. So I did the twisted 1x1 ribbing, which is what Nora suggests. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of ripped off her design, really. It is her design. I'm absolutely not claiming this to be mine, but it was easy enough for me to see what she did there to achieve this nice stripe. I'm not gonna explain that too much. I mean, I think most of you experienced knitters will also know this, so you could do this by yourself. But yeah, the cool thing here is I've used the Fish Lips Kiss Heel method for the very first time. I did purchase that pattern, which is like $1, I think. And I was just like blown away. It's like a 16-page thing for one heel. And the problem I always had, or I thought I always have with sock knitting, is that in my head, a sock project is a super easy project that you can just kind of always have on the needles and knit on whenever you have time, feel like it, when you're talking to someone, because it's like easy and small and whatever. But I always have issues knitting socks because I always get stuck at the heel and the toe because I don't know what to do, because I always need a freaking pattern to tell me what to do. And then I was thinking, because people are raving about this Fish Lips Kiss Heel method, that maybe that's super easy. And then I print this out and it's like a 16-page thing, and I was like, oh no, this is even worse than I thought. But it isn't. It's a whole lot of explaining. But I managed to read through it, and if you just condense it down to what it is, it's very easy to memorize. I'm sure next time, actually with the second sock already, I'll need it again to see what I have to do. But I think once you knit like 2-3 socks with this method, it's easy breezy. You don't need the pattern anymore, and I can't really say if it fits me just yet, because as I am not the most experienced sock knitter, I don't have found how many stitches do I need. That's why I did use the pattern from Nora, just to know how many stitches to cast on, which I think were 62 in this case. But yeah, they still turn out too wide. So I don't know. I think I hear actually a lot of people talking about 64 stitch cast on. So I don't know what kind of calves they have. I already thought I have. I mean, I'm not trying to say that other people have massive calves or something. I think probably have a pretty, but not even the gauge. I mean, this looks like a nice dense fabric. It doesn't look super loose to me. I mean, it's definitely getting quite dense because of the texture that's pulling it together, but I don't know. But I was done with this sock and I made the actual foot part a bit too long, and yeah, it's just a little bit too wide for my ankle. And then I gave it to my husband to try on, and they fit him, so this pair is actually going to him. I hope he'll wear it. I mean, I think the pattern's not so much the problem, but I think the combination of the pattern and the color kind of make it a bit more of a female sock. I don't know when he'll wear it, because he can't wear it in his work shoes, for instance. They're way too nice to wear in work shoes, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I finished the first sock and I cast on the second one, which I actually did with a new kind of needle. So I knit this on Magic Loop, also Chow Wool though, and yeah, and I just got a new set of needles. It's the Chow Glue Twist Shorties. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to keep them, to be honest. I misordered. I kind of realized too late in the game, I already ordered, but it wasn't delivered just yet, that those are actually the shorties. They have like two different sizes. It's like the, I think 5 centimeters and 7 centimeters or 8 centimeters. Yeah, 5 and 8 centimeters length needles in the small range of needles. So like 1 millimeter up to 3.5, I believe. Sorry, 2 millimeter up to 3.25. I don't think there's 1 millimeter needles. Yeah, and I was thinking I got the normal length needles in that range. But I always wanted to test the shorties. But I think if I do, I'll give this a go. It's definitely getting used to. It's not super easy in my hands knitting with this. But I'll give this a go. I'll definitely knit this sock. I'll try knitting this sock. I mean, I only have like a 30-day return period, so I'll make sure I'll do it within that time. But I'm sure I'll figure out if I like him or not. But I think I'll definitely send back this whole set, because that's way too many. I don't need all that in a shorty set. I want those in the long length, and then I might just get the sock gauge ones in the shorty ones, because you can buy them in one size. But yeah, that's what I'm doing here. Cast on for the second one, and I'm hoping to get this done within the next month, so I can still return it. And it lives in this cute bag, actually, which was for some beauty products my mom got for me. So I really like this bag. It doesn't really close that well, but as with the other one, I don't really care. Then it just stays open. Okay, that was all my works in progress. Okay, the spinning segment. As I was hinting in my first episode, I was planning on building my own e-spinner, and I'm very, very happy to report I managed. This is it. This is my e-spinner. Oops. I'm super, super happy with it. Works very, very well. It's not perfect. Still some stuff I need to do. There's not enough clearance for the rubber band, so it's rubbing off rubber. But it works. Probably a little bit more work on the motor right now than necessary, but right now it's not put on charge, but I can turn it on with here and increase the speed to way faster than I need. I probably usually have it here, and it tells me the percentage, 0 to 100, where I am. So that's very nice. I can always go back to the speed I'm spinning at, and I can put it to S or Z direction, spinning right. I mean, it's just like left way or right way around spinning. So that's super nice. I built this together with my husband, for sure. We actually did a 3D model. I'll put the picture of our 3D model that we did in SketchUp in the frame. And yeah, it works. It was a labor of love, for sure. We built this first of a different kind of wood, which is like was terrible to work with, and then we came up with this plywood, which is actually the wood we're building our boat out of as well. More to that on a different episode. And as I already said in the last episode, I built the flyer and the bobbins from Ashford. This is for the traditional wheel, I believe. So that if I ever wanted to buy more bobbins, there's so many like 3D printed bobbins and stuff out there, that I had like a standard size, and building the whole flyer thing, that was just way too involved. And yeah, it's a Scotch tension kind of construction, and yeah, it works really, really well. I'm super happy with it, and I've spun a lot of yarn. I don't want to show you every single yarn I've spun since I've built this, but I do want to show you a little bit my progression in spinning. So last episode I showed you what I did on the drop spindle, and that's in here. Whatever I had, I just used and put on a bobbin, and then I just continued spinning the rest of that test fiber I had and put it in here. So this is, needless to say, a funny mix of super thick bits, super thin bits, over twisted bits, under twisted bits. It's a typical first time spinner kind of thing. I don't think I'll ever really do anything with it, but it's just a joy to look at and see how far I've come, I guess. I think this is even like a mix of 3-ply and 2-ply, so it's just fun. It's really fun. The next one I did, and I was like amazed, is this one. Like, Do you see what I'm saying? I thought I'd be doing this thick and thin stuff for a long while before I would get to something like this. I mean, this is by far not perfect. I mean, there's still things like this in here, but man, look at this. I'm still super proud that this is like the second yarn I've ever spun, but this is 100% done on my e-spinner, which I don't know. I mean, I cannot say I can't compare, obviously. I never spun on a traditional wheel, but just looking from where I'm standing, I think having the e-spinner and just putting it on one speed and always have it on that speed, and you don't have to worry about that, and obviously you can make it super slow. It's just one less thing to worry about. I feel like if you also have to treadle and make sure you're always like the same speed there, and at the same time you have to figure out the whole drafting and stuff, that's more to have to deal with. So I feel like, from my perspective anyways, starting to learn with an e-spinner is actually easy. I mean, it made me achieve this in my second go. So either I'm like highly talented, which I highly doubt. I think it's just props to the e-spinner. Yeah, so I was super happy with this. I still don't have any plans for this because it's super scratchy. I know. What did I use here? It's Coburger Fuchs. It's a German sheep breed. I got this like European sheep breed trial package. So yeah, that's that. And then I was already, because I was like, man, I'm good. I was getting ambitious. Remember that little cardigan I showed to you? I knew I wanted to have this pastel colorful yarn together with a white one, and I thought, I'm just gonna spin that white one. So I had some rambouillet, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I think this looks very, very good. I think the quality is very similar to this. By the way, this is a 2-ply short forward. And this is also short forward, but a 3-ply with the, how do you call this in English? In German you call it Navajo plying. I don't know if that's the same in English, but it's this kind of way you use this crochet kind of method. So you're not plying together 3 yarns, singles that are on separate bobbins. They're all in the same, it's one single on one bobbin, and you kind of crochet your way up. Then you have a 3-ply. I'm terrible at explaining this, but in German it's called Navajo. Maybe you can find something. Maybe I'll put the English translation down here if I find something. Yeah. So this is that. But obviously I didn't really. It became way too thick for the yarn I had, the fiber I had, the amount to last, to be enough for my cardigan, but it was still a very good trial. So those were my first 3, and I was very proud of just how far I come with my first 3. Yeah, but actually the 4th was already that colorful yarn, the Map of Love alpaca Polwarth I told you about, that I used for my arnica sweater, and this is it. This is again short forward, drafting 2-ply, and yeah, came out super, super nice. I'm very happy with it. I still have quite a bit left over. I'm making a little hat with that, but I lost the pattern for it, so I might rip it back, so that's why I didn't show it to you. But yeah, so this is what I still have there, and I still want to use it up because I put a lot of love in there. But what I have in mind now, because ambition gets you places, right? And I'm never someone for, okay, I just learned this, so now I do a super easy project. No, I want the shifty, and I want to spin my shifty. And that comes together with the Andrea Mowry sweater cowl. I am doing the weekender, and by the speed I'm going through with the weekender, I actually might, like when I began and I thought I would do the shifty and the weekend, I was like, wow, this is very, very ambitious, because I want to spin for the shifty, and then I want to knit it and also knit the weekender. But I might make it. I'm not planning on spinning 100% for the shifty, because you have 3 colors, or I mean, yeah, she uses 4 colors, but one's like the background and 3 are like the blip thingies. So use what the sweater. Yeah, the latest. I'm sorry. Whatever. I'll put a picture. More work for me in the editing. Yeah, but so you have this blip, and it's actually I didn't know that when I purchased this pattern, and this time I did make use of the sweet discount Andrea did. That just kind of pushed me to actually purchase, or just go for this project. I mean, I've been looking at this project and I thought, I'm a spinner now. I should spin this up, because she does this with Spin Cycle Yarns, which is like it is a commercial bought yarn, but kind of makes the look of hand spun fiber. But yeah, I wanted to hand spin it myself. And yes, but long words. As a background color, I'm planning to use this. This is the actual yarn I did use for my hunter vest, or the hunter vest for my husband, but I still have quite a bit left over. Not quite enough I'll need for the shifty, but I can always buy more. But I think I'll just start with this, and when I see I'll run out, then I'll purchase 1 or 2 more bowls of this. But yeah, I would really like to use up what I still have left of this. And since this is rustic and it's still nice and soft, this will be perfect. And it's also a nice combination with hand spun, which for now anyways doesn't look like super sleek and pristine with my spinning abilities. And the original plan was to use these 2 as 2 of the contrast colors. But I'm actually slowly changing my mind. So I already, I posted this in the sweater call already, that those 2 colors I'm planning on using. Well, maybe let me start by what this is. For Christmas I bought, or I treated myself, or actually for December I treated myself for an advent calendar from Das Wollschaf, which is a German online store, and they do these fiber advent calendars where you get every day a little bit of fiber, and you could choose like a natural color. I mean, I think they just get different textures and stuff and make different natural colors, or you could do the colorful one, and I picked the colorful one. Hang on, let me actually grab the bag with the remaining ones. So you get all these fun little nuggets of fiber. And of course, I mean, with 24 different colored fiber things, there's gonna be some that you love and some that you really don't love. And yeah, and then you have a whole lot of it and a whole lot of little ones. So I thought I'll just mix them together. I just kind of sorted through them, arranging them by color and thinking what could go well together. And the first thing I put together was these 4 colors. So this is actually 4 different little bobbies of fiber. So I had this very red one. Next in line was this red with I don't know the fiber contents at all. They're definitely blends. I think there's a lot of merino, there's a lot of natural fibers, like this might be some, I don't know, either tencel or flax or something like that. Then the next in line is this very grayish one, which has a little bit of red in it, and then the last one in line was this more purpley one. And I started spinning this thinking I'll apply together, and then kind of midway thought, maybe I'll just make it a single. And I think so this first one color is much thinner in a spin than the remaining stuff, because most of this I was thinking I'll apply together eventually, but then I kind of went in my head, no, I'll just make it a single. And that's what I did, and it turned out really nice. It was my first single I ever did, and I was a bit apprehensive of the whole, because you don't felt it per se, but you do felt it a little bit when you wash it. So you put it in a cold and hot and cold and hot and cold and hot bath to to give the single a little bit of structure to itself. But it worked really, really well. And the thickness actually worked out to be perfect for what I needed for. So the Shifty is knit with sport weight yarn, and this is what this came out to be. So I was very happy about that. And then I put 4 greens together. So this actually I just spun out of the nuggets as they came. So out of the combed wool roving. But these I made Rolex out of, because some of the greens were really like far apart, so they wouldn't really go well together like one after the other. So, but then I mixed them together. There's also brown in here actually. Oy. Excuse me. So I blended them together on my blending board and made Rolex with them, and both of these are spun long draw. And I have another one that I'm not going to show you where I kind of tried a long draw, and I actually did a very long break in spinning because I started that one long draw and it ripped a million times. It was so annoying and I was kind of frustrated, and then it was like started on the e-spinner, and I don't know, I didn't want to take it off, so I just stopped spinning for quite a long while. And just I think like a month ago or something, I kind of sat back at it and started again, and now I can't do anything else. Now long draw is so much fun. To me it seems much easier than a short forward draw. I actually tried doing this one then short forward draw, like after I did this one in long draw. I just tried doing the short, but I don't know, for some reason my hands just want to do the long draw. I think I'm very impatient, and I think that's what it is, a long draw, even though I don't necessarily are faster in doing this, but the whole drawing part, it goes so quickly, and it does itself. For some reason, it feels like you just pull the fiber back and it all magically happens itself. I honestly don't know. I'm just doing this, kind of just copying what other people do. But it's so much fun. That might really be my default. I don't think I have a default yet, but so far I have a hard time going back to the short forward draw. So I ended up doing this in long draw as well. But this one is a 2-ply, and I was going for it. I did want a 2-ply. I was a little bit worried using this for a sweater because it is a single ply, and I know it pills a lot. Being hand spun and never really having done this with the whole felting thing, I didn't know how good the quality really will be. So I wanted to take the safe route, doing the other 2 colors in 2-ply, at least, that we have a little bit more strength in the yarn. But yes, so I have those 2. And then I was looking at this, and I couldn't really find anything that wasn't then throwing too much color in for me to still like it. Because I did the a cardigan also by Andrea. There's a lot of Andrea Mowry for some reason in this episode, but because she started the whole faded sweaters, and I did a cardigan, I forgot the name now, which I dyed myself, and that one just turned out way too colorful for me, even though I like the colors themselves, but all of them in one cardigan. I only wear that one at home. It's just too colorful and too, like, it's also very vibrant colors that I chose. And I was scared this would happen again, you know? Having those 2 colors, even though they're not super vibrant, and I'm mixing it with a gray, so it'll be muted. But putting a 3rd color in here just didn't seem right. So what I did is I ordered some more fiber, and it's unfortunately not here yet. Maybe I'll insert it from future me, because I won't be able to edit this today anyways, and it should arrive today or tomorrow in the post. Maybe I'll show it to you. So I'll kind of start from scratch again, spinning wise, anyways, to spin up for my shifty shifty sweater. But so far I'm still busy with the weekender, so for as long as I'm doing that, I still have time to spin. But yes, I think you guys have seen enough of me now. I hear my baby waking up, so this is a perfect time to just draw a line here and call it a day. I really, really, really hope you guys are safe. I know these are scary times, and yeah, I have a hard time wrapping my mind around this, you know? I mean, I go to the news and then I'm in it and I'm just like, wow, this is scary. But it's so easy to forget because if you're just in your little bubble, and as I said, for me personally, nothing much changed. I'm still at home, I'm still with my baby, I can still go for walks, and if I look out the window, I don't see sickness spreading. But yeah, as soon as you watch the news and you hear your chancellor talking every day, asking the population to be reasonable and just, man, stay home, save lives. There's definitely harder ways to save lives than by just staying home. It hits you how serious this situation is. So I really hope you guys are good and safe and you don't have to worry crazily about your family members. But probably there's some people out there that are in a situation like that. So I'll send you virtual strength, I guess. You'll get through this, and I really hope everything will be over soon and we'll come out of this, I don't know, yeah, alive, really. Okay, this turned very dire. I'm sorry, I didn't want this. This is supposed to be happy, and this is supposed to entertain people, and I'm sorry, I'm making a lot of noise with this plastic bag here. I'm sorry, I hope this is not super distracting. Anyways, I'm rambling. If you made it all the way to the end, I'm very happy. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you for giving me a go. If you like this, subscribe, give me a comment, a thumbs up. I hear these things help. I don't know, my first episode didn't do very well. But I don't really do this to get a huge following or anything, but it would be nice if I could share my passion for fiber and the other crafts I'm doing with some of you. And I'm sure if more people would watch this, I would also just have a little bit more of a motivation to actually do this regularly, even though I'm thinking about this all the time, and I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, I'll do this for my thing, and I'll keep you posted. But yeah,